Will God give you more than you can handle? Hey everybody, welcome to The Whole Truth, where I am taking you through the entire Bible from Genesis all the way to Revelation, and we are not skipping anything. So if that sounds good to you, make sure to hit the little subscribe button down below. Don't forget you can head over to thewholetruthbiblestudy.com, and all the videos are in one convenient, easy to use location. And I've got new things coming on there as well soon enough. As once I get this logo laid down, look, I'll even have like mugs, not with my face on it, though. That's kind of weird. Okay, can I have a drink? Today we are talking about Leviticus 25, the year of Jubilee. The year of Jubilee is a sanctified year. There was a Sabbath year, which meant after 6 years, every seventh year, the Israelite people were supposed to let the land rest for a whole year. And then after 7 of those was the year of Jubilee. So year number 49 and year number 50 were the year of Jubilee. And so in those years, no work in the land. Don't work the land. Don't gather up the food. Give everybody their possessions back. Slaves would return home. People would return back to their homelands. It was like a big resetting of the land and reset for all of the people. Now, I tell you that because that ought to leave a big question in your mind. What are they going to do for food? Food literally does grow on trees. So what is it that the Israelite people are supposed to do in year number 7? Are they just supposed to starve? How are they going to go a whole year without gathering up any food or storing up any food? Well, let's answer that. It's in the text. Right there in the middle of the year of Jubilee and the Sabbath rest, the Sabbath years, we have this verse 18. So this is Leviticus 25, verse 18. So you shall observe my statutes and keep my judgments and perform them, and you will dwell in the land in safety. And then the land will yield its fruit, and you will eat your fill and dwell there in safety. And if you say, what shall we eat in the 7th year, since we shall not sow nor gather in our produce? Then I will command my blessing on you in the 6th year, and it will bring forth produce enough for 3 years. And you shall sow in the 8th year and eat old produce until the 9th year, until its produce comes in, and you shall eat of the old harvest. God had set up a provision for the Israelite people. He says, if you say to yourself, what am I going to do? How do we eat? This is, remember, where the context is, where the setting is. Moses is up on Mount Sinai, and there on Mount Sinai, God is giving him instructions for how they're supposed to live in the land. So Moses was hearing this for the first time. In the 7th year, don't eat anything. And after 7 of those, or not don't eat anything, but don't gather up any food. And after 7 consecutive of those years of Sabbath rest, take 2 years. It's a natural thing to go through your head and go, wait, where's that going to come from? How do we do that? How do we not eat of the field? How do we not gather up food in those years? And God had an answer for that. In the 6th year, just like in the Sabbath day, on the 6th day, they should gather up enough food for the 7th day. In the 6th year, they're going to need to gather up enough food. So God said, here's what I want you to do. Obey my commandments, follow what I'm telling you to do. And if you will do that, I will command my blessing upon you. And in the 6th year, you will have 3 years worth of food. On the 6th year, the year before the Sabbath year, you're going to have 3 years worth of produce. One for the 6th year, one for the 7th year when you're not going to gather up anything, and one for the 8th year because you're going to need food until that food in the 8th year has grown up, until it's come in, till that crop's come in. So God says, I will give you provision enough for 3 years, but you've got to do something. You've got to do what I commanded you to do you've got to obey the Sabbath year. If you want that blessing, if you want God to perform that and to produce enough food, you're going to have to follow him. That's what he was telling Moses. You're going to have to follow me. The people are going to have to follow me and trust me. We've already had a video on trusting, but I want to make a new point to you today. And that is this: God will absolutely lay on you more than you can handle. When my wife passed away, many people came to me and they said, Justin, don't forget, God won't give you more than you can handle. And I'm telling you that there were moments that I woke up feeling like there was an elephant sitting on my chest. I didn't feel like I could move. I didn't feel like I could breathe. And it was definitely more than I can handle. In my household, my wife, she took care of all the bills. Like I went out and I worked all day, but when I came home, she had all the bills taken care of. She had all the groceries purchased. She just always, that was her role, and she loved it. It was the way that our family was established, was that I went out and I worked, but when I came home, she had already done all of those things. All those things at home she had taken care of, and what a vital role that was. And I knew that the whole time. I used to brag on her the whole time for that. It's not like I didn't see it that way. But I will tell you that when she passed, and then I had the role of making sure that all the kids had clothes that fit. It sounds like a silly thing, right? I mean, before I used to go clothes shopping with the kids, but it was different now, because now I'm watching and going, oh, their shoes got too tight, or oh, their pants got too short because they grew a little bit. So now I'm the one like paying attention in the beginning, and also going and taking them and getting clothes, and I'm the one going and getting groceries and paying bills. And I'm just telling you, it felt like for a moment there was so much piled on me. I just didn't feel like I could get it all done. Still don't in many ways. And in those moments I remember thinking, I can't do this. And there are other things as well. I could give you other examples as well. I look at our church. I look at Salt and Light Baptist Church. I got one of the shirts on today. That's kind of fun. I look at the church that the Lord had me plant almost 12 years ago. And I look at where he's moved us to. If you don't know the story of that, I'm in a church that grew from less than 30 people to well over 300 people in a short amount of time. We went from 30 to 300 in basically a little over a year, and we're still sitting there a little over 300 people most Sundays. Where there's 300 people in church, and now God has given us this building, an opportunity to be in this building that will hold over 1,000 people in the building. And we have these 300 people, and there's questions that we go, how are we going to do this? And I have to constantly remind myself, we're not going to do it. Like, the human side of me goes, wait a minute, how is this going to happen? But what God wants from you is to be obedient to him and to trust him that he's the one that's going to take care of it. Here's the question I have for you. Not, is it more than you can handle? The real question is it more than God can handle? Can God figure out a way? Can God take care of it in a way that probably you can't? There are things in our life that God gives us that we cannot do. Gideon could not defeat an army. Gideon could not defeat an army with 300 men, which is what God ended up giving him. When he had over 10,000 men, he didn't think it was enough people. But when he was all the way down to 300 men, he knew it wasn't enough people. And what was God proving? It was more than Gideon could handle, because God wanted the glory out of that. And God gives you more than you can handle so that he can work in you, and no one can deny that must be God. How great would it have been if the Israelite people would have performed the year of Jubilee, and we could have seen firsthand as God provided for his people by giving them enough increase in year number 6 that they could make it all the way through year number 7 and year number 8 as they waited for their crops to come back up. What would you do today? Would you be willing to wait on God and trust that it's not about what you can handle, but what he can handle in you? All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow with a little bit more of Leviticus chapter 25. We're so close to being done. See y'all tomorrow.